Remember playing Lone Wolf and Halo and going up against an MLG player, and if you won, you'd get like the recon helmet? Like, remember that like rumor, that myth that surrounded that? Or going with like your clan to farm for an AGS and they finally dropped one? Remember that moment of pure bliss and realizing you practically just won the video game lottery? Like, remember just how special, just how real, just how wholesome that actually felt? Remember that? You feeling me right now? Well, Volkswagen decided to do it with one of their own cars because in the 90s, Volkswagen was just feeling fresh. And they decided to do it with a car that we'll call the Golf Harlequin. On this episode of The Truth About, we're diving deep into the history of the car. So let's do this. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, Alex.fi, you know, and also don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button. If you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, head over to fitmentindustries.com. Pick some stuff up from us because it allows us to keep making videos like this, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you're gonna miss out on me ranting about laundry and other things that you would just not expect to be talking about in an automotive channel. Taking it back to Germany, Volkswagen executives were sitting around their rich mahogany desks, smoking cigars and drinking beers, and for some reason, they thought it'd be a gnarly idea to build some mix and match Volkswagen Polos with different color body panels because why not? Maybe they had too much money, maybe it's not butter. But here's the catch though, it wasn't just any Volkswagen executive, it was Ferdinand P, who could pretty much get applause for just waking up and taking a drink of water. No one thought it was a bad idea because it was our boy Ferdinand. You never had a bad idea before and everybody loved him. And it really wasn't actually a bad idea because the car in Germany ended up selling pretty well, just short of 5,000 units total, with the first 1,000 receiving a personalized and individually numbered keychain for their Polo that was now 4 to 5 colors. So then Ferdinand and the other German Volkswagen executives went back to their rich mahogany desks and smoke-clouded rooms, and they were like, well, you want to double down on black and try it again in the States? So the Golf Harlequin was a multicolored Golf GL and hit the US soil in 1996, and it did terrible. Didn't do hot, didn't really just smoke the brisket. One could say it just fell one ladder short. One could say between snakes and ladders, they hit a ladder, or a snake. Which one's the bad one? Chutes. Oh, chutes and ladders. Well, I didn't have, okay, a childhood of tabletop games, okay? I had Mancala and chess, all right? Those were my options. It was a multicolored Volkswagen in the late 90s. The American market didn't see the same appeal that the Volkswagen market did with the car. In fact, most Harlequins were sold at cost because people would just not pick these things up. They would just sit at dealerships and nobody thought that it was actually a serious vehicle that people would buy. The Harlequins themselves feature at the start only 4 base colors. You have that ginster yellow, pistachio green, that Steven Chagall blue. Steven Chagall blue without the, you get it, whatever. And tornado red. The car would be built in the Puebla factory in one solid color. But then once it was fully assembled, they would then take the panels off the car to be swapped onto other vehicles, other finished vehicles. The Puebla Volkswagen plant used a system that ensured no similar panels would ever touch on the car because they're just gonna overcomplicate things because there was only about 264 of them to be made. And so no panels could match on the same color. The argument that these cars have a base color can be identified by the C-pillars, the roof, and the rocker panels, and that has kind of followed the car everywhere. After all, it is a little skittle bag of color, but Volkswagen didn't really care about people knowing that. Instead, they just wanted to make Harlequin an Easter egg of sorts. For instance, the Chagall blue or Steven Chagall blue and the pistachio green were Euro-only hues that weren't offered on any other US Golf models. The cars themselves received plenty of recognition during the '96 Olympics, which was actually one of the things that they felt could have launched the Harlequins into the United States for a publicity stake. But they didn't actually get enough publicity to sell any of them. If that's not enough, dealerships were randomly selected to get 0 to 2 of these cars, and absolutely no dealership even wanted them. Jim Ellis Volkswagen in Atlanta, Georgia received more than that for some unknown reason, and many speculate it was actually because Volkswagen forced this dealer to take on more for the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, and they really wanted that promotion to be there in the city, and that really didn't work out. But the biggest rumor was that because this dealership took on way more than everybody else, that this dealer in Atlanta ended up with 4 leftover Harlequins, all with different base color codes. Their solution to move the cars, because they just were sitting there collecting dust, is that they took them to a nearby shop, swapped all the exterior panels back, and sold 4 single-colored Volkswagens. This may just be a rumor, but the Harlequin registry does seem to match up with this story, that they just put the colors back together and then sold them as a single color Volkswagen. Even though they only went out to sell 264 of these Harlequins, and most were difficult to sell, the car itself has now become quite the cult classic, because as of February 2014, only 113 of the 264 Golf Harlequins have been found and documented. The thing is rarest hack. Monetization enabled, because you don't want to swear. People love it, and they're kind of funky. And guess what? It's 2019, people love funky. Synthwave is in, they had Blade Runner came back out, they're doing reruns out on reruns. I don't know if you watch Stranger Things, that's going on too. I mean, it's all the 80s right now, which is cool, I guess. And so a lot of people have purchased these Harlequins and have just kept them the way that they are. They're kind of like a nice little side project for a car collector. And they are pretty neat to see in person. A lot of people have tried to keep them restored and clean, but naturally, because it's an older Volkswagen, they've had difficulty doing that. To see only 113 left over is a little bit disappointing, but up until probably about 10 years ago, 5 years ago, they really weren't even sought after. Don't forget to check out fitmentindustries.com if you're looking for wheels, tires, and suspension. We sell them, and even though it's a sales plug, it allows us to keep making awesome videos like this. If you haven't subscribed yet, look at what you're missing out on.
On 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Air ride. Oh, Alex went static?
The Golf R was coilovers.
Suck it! You're eating some wings!
Also, if you're looking at getting a free set of wheels, we partner with Koenig Wheels. We got a wheel giveaway going on. Pick up one of these t-shirts. It's partnered with Koenig. And of course, every single t-shirt you pick up gives you an entry to win the free set of wheels. And we're making a donation to the ASPCA, because dogs and cats need our help. That's all I got. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We will see you later.